In this video, I'm going to be making salted potato chip chunk cookies. For these cookies, you will need half a cup of butter melted, 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, a half cup of white sugar, 1 egg and 1 egg yolk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 cup plus 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. You need 3 ounces. They're calling for milk chocolate and dark chocolate. That is not what I'm using. I'm going to use semi-sweet chocolate and white chocolate. So I'm going to mix these. These are 4-ounce bars, so I'll be using almost all of them because you need 3 and 3.5. So I'll use almost the whole bars, but you're gonna rough chop those. And then we need a half a cup of potato chips. That's about 30 grams. Well, a package of these single Lay's is 28.3 grams. So I'm going to use a bag of those crushed up. And then we need some flaky Maldon salt. So, and you're not going to use that until the very, very end. After you've baked them, you're going to be adding that to the top. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our brown sugar, our sugar, and salt, and we're going to whisk these together just real quick, and then we are going to add our butter in a slow stream until it is combined. Now we're going to whisk in our egg yolk, and vanilla. We're going to mix in our baking soda and our flour. And while this is mixing together, I am going to rough chop my chocolates. Now I'm going to add my chocolate to this bowl, to my mixing bowl. Then I'm going to take my bag of potato chips and just crush these. And we're going to stir this together. And then we're going to cover this. And you need to refrigerate this for at least an hour. But it's supposed to be better if you can leave them overnight. This is the next day. You need to preheat your oven to 350. And then you want to line 2 cookie sheets with parchment paper. I'm using the Reynolds parchment pre-cut sheets. So I'm going to move one out of the way just so, because we don't need it there. I have taken my cookie dough out of the refrigerator about 15 minutes ago, and I've let it just sit here on the counter because you want it to still be cool but not like stone cold, because you want to be able to get it out of here, and so it would have been too cold otherwise. You really smell the potato chip. Okay. So I have a cookie scoop that I'm going to use if I can. But look, I mean, that is some pretty firm stuff. So let's see, I might end up using my hand. We'll see. But it says you want to be able to put 12 of these on the cookie sheet. So I'm just gonna kind of
wing it.
Wing it, yeah. The time on these is bake for 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to bake mine for 8 minutes and check on them and see how they look. And while these are in the oven, I keep moving these around just to get them perfect. But while these are in the oven, I'm going to put my next set of 12 on the pan. I had the cookies in for 9 minutes. I checked on them at 8 and they needed to get a little bit browner. Now you want to take your Maldon salt, if you want, and just put a little bit on top. I'm probably putting too much, but you just want to put a little bit on the top of each one. Our cookies are going to be a little bit different than the ones in the recipe than the original, because we used white chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate instead of milk chocolate and 60 to 70% dark chocolate. Honestly, I would have bought white chocolate and milk chocolate, but they didn't have any milk chocolate bars.
Not in a bar.
In a bar when we went to the store, so I got what I could get.
Guess you could have bought Hershey's or something.
Yes, yeah, you could have, honestly. So mine are very soft, but I like soft cookies.
You kind of get chocolate all over it. Of course, if you don't want the chocolate to be melty, just let it cool off. They have like a little bit of a chew to them, like a chewy cookie.
I love the flavor. I think the flavor is delicious. I really taste a lot of that chocolate.
That's all I taste is chocolate.
The semi-sweet chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah, the white chocolate probably adds sweetness to it, but it doesn't like stand it. Now there's a whole cookie here that half of it's white chocolate. So I get the texture of the potato chips, but it doesn't taste like potato.
No.
But you get a little bit of a crunch in there.
From my memory, I've made at least 3 cookie recipes that use potato chips. And my hope in all of those recipes was that you would actually be able to taste the potato chip. And you can't in this either.
Mm-hmm.
You
I don't know if that'd necessarily be any good.
You don't taste the potato chip. I think it would be nice to get that flavor. I like the flavor of a potato chip. But in all these recipes that use them, it's like they're just using them to say they're using them or to call themselves potato chip cookies because people are like, ooh, like me, ooh, that sounds really good. But then when it comes right down to it, you may as well have left them out or added something else in there because you don't taste them. And the texture isn't that big of a deal to where it's like if you gave that to somebody else and they didn't know what you called them or what you put in there, I don't think they would know ever that was potato chip in there.
Probably not.
No.
No, because you've got the salt already extra anyway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they would not know.
You might be able to tell that they're a little saltier if you didn't add the extra salt. Like that was an optional step. You didn't have to put the salt on the top.
Right.
I don't know. This potato chip might add a little more saltiness to it. It's hard to say.
What's funny is the butter, I use regular butter. I used to for recipes buy salted and unsalted, and I was very careful when it came to recipes. It doesn't matter. I've learned that it does not matter. And they tell you like sometimes if you're adding salt later, then
reduce it.
Then reduce it. All this stuff. If you're using salted butter, I'm telling you, it's never made
a difference to us.
A bit of difference to our recipes.
We like salty stuff, though.
But I don't see these as salty cookies. I just don't. But I did not use unsalted butter like they said. I used regular butter. To me, these are not overly salty. The potato chip part is like, I'm just always really surprised that you don't actually get the potato chip flavor. But I do love the cookies. I think it's a great recipe. I would totally make it again. The only thing I don't like is having to wait for them to cool, but that's just so that they'll hold their shape.
Yeah, I think if you didn't cool them off first, they would spread out in huge, flat, thin, ultra thin cookies, and you don't want that. You want something a little thicker.
Yeah, so I do think it's just to hold a good shape. But I do
think they're
think,
good.
like I said, this is a good recipe, and I will have a link below if you are interested in making these yourself. You can click on that, and it'll take you right to the website where I got them. And what I did was I copied and pasted into a Word document, and I printed it out onto my own Word document. Is how I did it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.